So a common theme in the last few episodes on the Shine Online podcast is how can we make our lives easier when it comes to social media and creating video content? I'll link my episodes where I talk about my chill content era, how to avoid social media burnout, and how to actually get in front of the camera and be in your content, because it kind of will weave into what we're going to talk about today. In this episode, we're going to be talking specifically about how to get more content ideas for your videos. And I find that from all the different types of small businesses, that product businesses struggle the most with this. So I'll be sharing an inside look into a 5-part method that I teach inside my video confidence program on how to actually make ideation a lot more strategic and easier, whether you're a product business or you're just looking for some inspiration. As someone who used to be a social media manager for all different types of brands, but specifically product businesses as well, I found that there's not a lot of resources when it comes to idea gen, content pillars, or video content ideas. So this is what this method was specifically created for, but I promise you, if you've ever struggled with generating ideas, knowing if your ideas are worth posting, or even figuring out your own content pillars, then this episode will be really supportive for you. Okay, so I need you to envision a 5-layer cake, and we are going to be going through all the 5 layers that I think you should have when you are thinking of ideas. So these are kind of sources of inspiration and different types of content, really thinking about just not creating content, right? We want it to be intentional and strategic. So for layer 1, this one might ruffle some feathers, but it is realizing that if you're a product brand, insert niche here, that your video content strategy is not that much different from other types of businesses. I often see product brands specifically getting into their own way of like, that only works for coaches, or that only works for influencers and creators, or that wouldn't work for what I'm selling and who I'm trying to reach. But I actually think that can get in the way of really humanizing your brand, because whether you're selling a product or you're just creating a community or you're selling a service or you're selling programs, people want to connect with people. So I actually think that it's even more important to kind of embrace those more personal brand elements, even if you're selling a product. This, of course, comes with a layer of you need to be willing to show up on video and infuse humanness into your content, which is kind of where the other 4 layers of this cake come in. A really great example of this is actually with stock content, which I have been yelling from the rooftops here on the podcast. I've been talking about it on YouTube, on Instagram, and most specifically in my free 5-day video confidence challenge. And stock content, if you're not familiar, is essentially footage, B-roll footage that you can then use in multiple different types of video content. So it's multi-use and not single use like a trend. And this is actually a really great way of starting to incorporate more of you in your video content for that first layer, whether it's recording you actually packaging orders or connecting with your team or formulating and creating new products. Those are all things that you can just set your phone up, capture some content of, and use that in a lot of different ways to kind of infuse more personality into your content. And if you're interested in testing out the 5-day video confidence challenge yourself, you can go to videoconfidencechallenge.com. Okay, let's get to layer 2 of this cake. I'm getting a little hungry. I want some cake. Okay, this is you and your product story. So we're diving right in, right? We want to make sure that we're telling that story, and we're not just telling it once, because whether it's people that have been connected with your brand for years, your ride or die community people, the people that have consistently purchased your products, or if it's someone that is literally discovering you for the first time, people love founder stories. In fact, on TikTok, there is an entire hashtag dedicated to these founder stories. And I think it's why a show like Shark Tank is so popular. We like to see where the idea started, how it started to come to be, the ups, the downs, the wins, and really how the product is a part of a bigger story. It's not just something that was manufactured by Amazon all of a sudden and plopped on a website. It was something that was created from someone's mind or hands or vision. And so that's why it's really important to not only share your story of why you even care about what you do for your business, but most importantly, showing off that product. Keeping in mind, this can be a physical product, but this also could be digital products or services or programs. You have to be the biggest fan of your product first and foremost. And I think this is like just an easy common mistake that I see a lot of product brands making is I don't see you obsessed with your product, using it on a daily basis, using it in your routine, showing us how you use it and how it solved your problems. Like I want you to be yelling it from the rooftops. That repetition is so incredibly important. Okay, on to layer 3, which is seeing how your product solves problems, more specifically in an in real life situation. So yes, I want to see how your product works. I want to see how it came to be, but what's going to make me buy your product over the other solutions, the other people in the industry is going to be how it solves my problem better. And so this is where I want to see it in action. I want to see it in action a ton of different types of ways. So let's go through a few examples. I'm thinking of one of my favorite products, which is granola butter. If you've never tried it, go to Oat House. They have amazing granola butter. And what I love about their content is they're continually showing me how to use the granola butter, whether it's in recipes, whether it's in my daily breakfast, whether it's literally as a snack, or they even give very specific solutions. Like if a parent has a kid that goes to a nut-free school, this is a really great solution. So I'm constantly seeing how I can use and see granola butter in my own life. And that's a really easy problem. Like I want an alternative solution to peanut butter or other nut butters, right? There's so many reasons why I'd want an alternative solution. And they're showing me how their product continues to solve it. Another one of my favorite brands to use as an example, because they use video content so well, is Classy Network. They create Brahmis, which are tops with built-in bras. And the most obvious problem that their product solves is people don't want to wear a bra. And there's so many reasons why, right? It might be how it looks. It might be comfort. It might be wanting to wear certain styles. And so they're continuing to show that on different body types in different situations with all of those different problems. So for this layer of the cake, you want to really figure out what are the multiple problems, big or small, that your product, service, or industry, what you do solve. And how can I see you continuing to solve that problem in video content? I want to visually see it. I don't want you to just tell me about it. And I want you to remember this 5-layer cake is something that I go into a lot more depth inside my signature video confidence program when we're going over how to create your content pillars, how to generate ideas, how to create your content strategy. So when you're implementing videos, it's going to your ideal followers. This is just one of the components that I dive a lot deeper into and I support you with through the monthly group coaching calls to definitely learn a little bit more about that inside the show notes. Okay, on to layer 4. I think you're gonna like this one. This is where we're infusing community into your video content. And as I already mentioned, I need you in your video content. I did an entire podcast episode about it, why it's so important. So if you wanna see results, conversion, growth, engagement, you need to be in your video content, right? That's a non-negotiable. But whether it's you or other parts of your community, that is still added adding that personal element. So really infusing your community, which you can do in a lot of different ways. Community can be through user-generated content. So people that are using your products, your clients, posting about their experience with you or showing how they use it in their daily life or sharing their whole testimonial of how it transformed their life. Then we also have our internal community, right? This is our team members. This is the people that are packaging orders or are working on the back end of things, or maybe your co-founders. So really showing the community behind a product or behind a brand adds that extra layer of social proof, right? I want to know you're obsessed with your product, but seeing that other people are obsessed is like a whole nother layer. And I know I already mentioned the brand Oat House, and I love how not only are all the co-founders a part of their video content, but they also infuse different members of their team into their stories. So they're hosting Q&As, they're hosting takeovers, and it's a really engaging way to see the multiple people that are part of the brand, but also see why they like the product. You can also do this from takeovers. I know one of my favorite brands, Gold, is constantly having, whether it's people in their team or people that are part of their community, like their ambassadors, taking over their stories and showing their daily routines and rituals with their matcha or their turmeric powders. And an even better way to do this is actually with lives, especially if you can do collaborative lives or have people do demonstrations or have conversations or even Q&As. Okay, and now on to the last layer of this 5-layer cake, which is adding in complementary topics or pillars. So in my signature Shine framework, I teach content pillars, and there's a lot of different ways you've probably heard about content pillars, and mine doesn't say you need to have a niche, and mine also doesn't say you need to post about everything you're interested about in every part of your life. It's somewhere in between where we curate 5 specific categories or themes or topics for you to create your content around. So there's going to be an element of your expertise in your industry. There's also going to be some personal interests, right? And so all the 5 layers of this cake was really created for all of my clients in my signature program to have an extra layer of inspiration when creating their own custom content pillars. And so with this 5th layer, we want to make sure we're thinking outside of the box of our product and our industry and our service, right? This is where we're adding in topics that we know our ideal follower will also be interested in. So we're not just posting about anything, right? And sharing every topic we can think of, but we're posting about intentional things that are going to connect with that ideal follower. And this is really where it comes down to, you want to attract quality people in your community, in your audience with your video content. So this is where adding that specific 5th layer is going to come in handy. So essentially these complementary topics should relate back to what your product is about, your values, interests that people might have. So let me go through a few examples. So let's say you're selling eco-friendly cleaning supplies. We get ours from Blue Land, and I love how their content is not just about how to use their products and how they work and all the benefits of them, right? That's just one layer of the cake. But what it really talks about is the deeper values that a person that would purchase their cleaning supplies has. If I care about a more sustainable cleaning solution that's maybe less plastic, less waste, then I'm going to care about other eco-friendly tips and values. I'm going to want to know about recycling. I'm going to want to know about the environment. I'm going to want to know about other ways that I can reduce the impact that I have on the planet and reduce my intake of single-use plastic. So I'm not just talking about cleaning supplies. That's just that really gets surface level. But when we go deeper, we think of the value of that a customer would have that would purchase that product, which is probably aligned with your own brand values. Another example is matcha, of course. So let's say we're selling matcha powder. So yes, we want to talk about recipes, the benefits of matcha, like all that stuff we've already talked about. But the complementary topic is actually wellness routines and rituals. The type of person that's interested in matcha is probably looking for a coffee alternative. They're looking for ways that they can have healthier routines. They're looking for all the health benefits, and they're looking for little ways they can make make their routines and rituals a little bit better. So that's something else you want to be talking about in your video content. So I hope these 5 layers of the cake were really helpful for you, whether you're a product brand that has struggled to figure out content ideas for your videos, or if you just were looking for inspiration as a small business owner. And I'll see you in the next episode.